quickly, shall we? I just downloaded Obsidian. I'm going to use it to write something. Put something together for you guys. Since people want to play with me. Like I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to put together a surprise on Obsidian. All right. We're in Nehemiah chapter 8. We can finish Nehemiah pretty quickly here. We only got 5 chapters left. The Feast of the Tabernacles, prayer of the Levites, more prayer of the Levites, long prayer of the Levites. And then we wrap up Nehemiah. And we got some, we got a little bit of listing. Yeah, we got a good chunk of lists. Lists. You got to avoid the strange ladies so you can keep the list. Keep the list accurate. Hola, Merlin. Merlin. Hola, Merlin. All right. Go ahead and get started with this. Ain't no sense in dilly-dallying. Chapter 8. And all the... Hold on one second. Okay, we went through a big list last time. Now Ezra's reading the law. Yeah. Ezra's reading the book of the law of Moses. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded to Israel. And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding, upon the first day of the 7th month. And he read therein before the street that was before the water gate, from the morning until midday. Before the men and the women, and those that could understand, and the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law. And Ezra the scribe stood upon a pulpit of wood, which they had made for the purpose, and beside him stood Mattathiah, and Shema, and Ananiah, and Urijah, and Hilkiah, and Maaseiah. What's up, Wagir? On his right hand, and on his left hand, Pedaiah, and Mishael, and Malchiah, and Hashum, and Hashbaddanah, Zechariah, and Meshullam. And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. And Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God, and all the people answered, Amen, Amen, with lifting up their hands. And they bowed their heads and worshipped the Lord with their faces to the ground. Also Jeshua and Bani and Sherebiah and Jamin, Akub, Shabbatiah, Hodijah, Maaseiah, Kelita, Azariah, Jozabad, Hanan, Pelaiah, and the Levites caused the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their place. So they read in the book the law of God distinctly, and gave the sense, and caused them to understand the reading. And Nehemiah, which is the Tershathah, and Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people, said unto all the people, This day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not, nor weep, for all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. Then he said unto them, Go your way, eat the fat, and drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto our Lord. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. That verse go hard. He said unto them, Go your way, eat the fat, and drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto our Lord. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. So the Levites stilled all the people, saying, "Hold your peace, for the day is holy, neither be ye grieved." And all the people went their way to eat and to drink and to send portions and to make great mirth, because they had understood the words that were declared unto them. And on the second day were gathered together the chief of the fathers of all the people, the priests and the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the law. And they found written in the law, which the Lord had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month, and that they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying, "Go forth unto the mount, and fetch olive branches and pine branches and myrtle branches and palm branches and branches of thick trees to make booths, as it is written." So the people went forth and brought them and made themselves booths, every one upon the roof of his house, and in their courts, and in the courts of the house of God, and in the street of the water gate, and in the street of the gate of Ephraim. And all the congregation of them that were come again out of the captivity made booths, and sat under the booths. For since the days of Jeshua the son of Nun unto that day had not the children of Israel done so, and there was very great gladness. And day by day, from the first day unto the last day, he read in the book of the law of God, and they kept the feast 7 days, and on the 8th day was a solemn assembly according unto the manner. That's chapter 8. Chapter 8. What do they mean by booths? Now this one's flickering. Or was that my light? Booths. Nehemiah. I wonder if that means like prayer closets. Booths. Nehemiah 8. The booths refer to temporary shelters or tabernacles built for the Feast of Booths, also known as the Feast of Tabernacles. People constructed these shelters using branches from trees like palm, myrtle, and olive on their rooftops, in their courtyards, and in public squares to commemorate God's protection and provision for their ancestors during their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness after leaving Egypt. The purpose of feast booths.
In God's Word. Our call out today goes to Patrick Greer, a listener from Corey, Pennsylvania. Thank you, brother, for your support and partnership in the gospel. I pray this devotional blesses you today. We're going to be reading from the same verses as yesterday with a little bit of a different emphasis. Nehemiah chapter 8, verses 13 all the way down to the end, verse 18. It reads, "On the second day, the heads of the fathers' houses of all the people with the priests and the Levites came together to Ezra the scribe in order to study the words of the law." They're intrigued by it, so they go further. "And they found it written in the law that the Lord had commanded by Moses that the people of Israel should dwell in booths, tents, during the feast of the 7th month," which happened to be that month, "and that they should proclaim it and publish it in all their towns and in Jerusalem." So tell everybody about it. "Go out to the hills and bring branches of olive and wild olive and myrtle and palm and other leafy trees to make booths, as it is written. The gate of Ephraim.
Just tell me about the booths.
And all the assembly of those who are the son of celebrated. And day by day, from the first day to the last. And all. So during this time, or in the Old Testament times, there were 3 major pilgrimage festivals in Judaism. They were the Feast of Booths, this one, Passover, and Pentecost. And this festival was observed in the fall, which occurred right when they read the scripture. So I think it's kind of interesting how God does things like that sometimes, right? And just so you know, there's no such thing as a coincidence in the Bible. Only providential occurrences of God's sovereignty. So that's what we have here, a providential occurrence of God's sovereignty. But here's the question. What is the Feast of Booths, aka the Feast of Tabernacles? By the way, it has a couple of names. Well, this festival commemorated the 40 years that the Israelites wandered around in the desert after leaving Egypt and yet before entering the Promised Land, which is where they're at now. During their journey, they lived in temporary tents or booths, which were kind of simple huts made of various branches and leaves and other natural materials. So, and construct booths as a family all over the city grounds to remember that moment. This event.
Okay. All right. That's almost over. Okay. So the booths. Feast of the Tabernacles. Feast of the Booths. All right. Okay. Chapter 9. Now, in the 24th day of this month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting and with sackcloths and earth upon them. And the seed of Israel separated themselves from all strangers and stood and confessed their sins and the iniquities of their fathers. And they stood up in their place and read in the book of the law of the Lord their God 1/4 part of the day. And another 4th part of the day they confessed and worshiped the Lord their God. Interesting. And are they confessing to the priests? Huh. That's interesting. Because see, a lot of Protestants have a problem with confession. I used to think that confession was not like biblical. You don't confess your sins to man, you confess your sins to God. But here we have a direct command of confession. Then stood up upon the stairs of the Levites Jeshua and Bani, Kadmiel, Shebaniah, Buni, Sherebiah, Bani, and Chenani, and cried with a loud voice unto the Lord their God. Then the Levites, Jeshua and Kadmiel, Bani, Hashabaniah, Sherebiah, Hodijah, Shebaniah, and Pethahiah, said, Stand up and bless the Lord your God forever and ever, and blessed be thy glorious name, which is exalted above all blessings and praise. Thou, even thou, art Lord alone. Thou hast made heaven and heaven of heavens with all their host, the earth and all things that are therein, the seas and all that is therein, and thou preservest them all, and the host of heaven worshipeth thee. Thou art the Lord the God, who didst choose Abraham, and broughtest him forth out of Ur of the Chaldees, and gavest him the name of Abraham. Oh, Abram. It says Abram and gave him the name Abraham. Okay, that makes sense. And foundest his heart faithful before thee, and madest a covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites, and the Girgashites, to give it, I say, to his seed, and hast performed thy words, for thou art righteous. And didst see the affliction of our fathers in Egypt, and heardest their cry by the Red Sea, and showedest signs and wonders upon Pharaoh, and on all his servants, and on all the people of his land. For thou knewest that they dealt proudly against them. So didst thou get thee a name, as it is this day. And thou didst divide the sea before them, so that they went through the midst of the sea on the dry land, and their persecutors thou threwest into the deeps, as a stone into the mighty waters. Moreover, thou leddest them in the day by a cloudy pillar, and in the night by a pillar of fire, to give them light in the way wherein they should go. Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai, and spakest with them from heaven, and gavest them right judgments and true laws, good statutes and commandments. Holy moly, this is a long chapter. And madest known unto them thy holy Sabbath, and commandest them precepts, statutes, and laws by the hand of Moses thy servant, and gave them bread from heaven for their hunger, and broughtest forth water for them out of the rock for their thirst, and promised them that they should go in to possess the land which thou hast sworn to give them. But they and our fathers dealt proudly, and hardened their necks, and hearkened not to thy commandments, and refused to obey, neither were mindful of thy wonders that thou didst among them, but hardened their necks, and in their rebellion appointed a captain to return to their bondage. But thou art a God, ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and forsook them not. Yes, when they had made a molten calf, and said, This is thy God, and brought thee up out of Egypt, and had wrought great provocations, yet thou in thy manifold mercies forsook them not in the wilderness. The pillar of the cloud departed not from them by day to lead them in the way, neither the pillar of fire by night to show them light in the way wherein they should go. Thou gavest also thy good spirit to instruct them, and withheldest not thy manna from their mouth, and gavest them water for their thirst. Yet 40 years didst thou sustain them in the wilderness, so that they lacked nothing. Their clothes waxed not old, and their feet swelled not. Moreover, thou gavest them kingdoms and nations, and didst divide them into corners. So they possessed the land of Sihon, and the land of the kings of Heshbon, and the land of Og, king of Bashan. Their children also multipliedst thou as the stars of heaven, and broughtest them into the land concerning which thou hadst promised to their fathers, so they should go in to possess it. So the children went in and possessed the land, and thou subduest before them the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, and gavest them into their hands, with their kings and the people of the land, that they might do with them as they would. And they took strong cities and a fat land, and possessed houses full of all goods, wells digged, vineyards and olive yards, and fruit trees in abundance. So they did eat, and were filled, and became fat, and delighted themselves in thy great goodness. Nevertheless, they were disobedient, and rebelled against thee, and cast thy law behind their backs, and slew thy prophets which testified against them to turn them to thee. And they wrought great provocations. Therefore, thou deliverest them into the hand of their enemies, who vexed them. And in the time of their trouble, when they cried unto thee, thou heardest them from heaven. And according to thy manifold mercies, thou gavest them saviors, who saved them out of the hand of their enemies, the judges. That's talking about the judges. But after they had rest, they did evil again before thee. Therefore leftest thou them in the hand of their enemies, so that they had the dominion over them. Yet when they returned and cried unto thee, thou heardest them from heaven, and many times didst thou deliver them according to thy mercies, and testifiedst against them, that thou mightest bring them again unto thy law. Yet they dealt proudly, and hearkened not unto thy commandments, but sinned against thy judgments. Which if a man do, he shall live in them, in his sins, and withdrew the shoulder, and hardened their neck, and would not hear. Yet many years didst thou forbear them, and testifiedst against them by thy spirit and thy prophets. Yet would they not give ear? Therefore gavest thou them into the hand of the people of the lands. Nevertheless, for thy great mercies' sake, thou didst not utterly consume them. Nevertheless, for thy great mercy's sake, thou didst not utterly consume them, nor forsake them, for thou art a gracious and merciful God. Now therefore, our God, the great, the mighty, and the terrible God, who keepest covenant and mercy, let not all the trouble seem little before thee that hath come upon us, on our kings, on our princes, and on our priests, and on our prophets, and on our fathers, and on all thy people, since the time of the kings of Assyria unto this day. Howbeit, thou art just in all that is brought upon us, for thou hast done right, but we have done wickedly. Neither have our kings, so see, when God punishes Israel for doing wrong, he's just in doing that. Neither have our kings, our princes, our priests, nor our fathers kept thy law, nor hearkened unto thy commandments and thy testimonies, wherewith thou didst testify against them. For they have not served thee in their kingdom, and in thy great goodness that thou gavest them, and in the large and fat land which thou gavest before them, neither turned they from their wicked works. Behold, we are servants this day. Maryland, pay attention. And for the land that thou gavest unto our fathers, to eat the fruit thereof, and the good thereof, behold, we are servants in it. And it yieldeth much increase unto the kings whom thou hast set over us because of our sins. Also they have dominion over our bodies and over our cattle at their pleasure, and we are in great distress. This isn't just for that time. This is a bit of prophecy here. And because of all this, we make a sure covenant and write it, and our princes, Levites, and priests seal unto it. chapter 10. We got a bit of a list here, so bear with me on these names. Can you do some research where the word amen honestly came from? If it was a reference to no, it's not. That's a myth. Like, don't you think they would try to rewrite the biblical text to steal references from God? In my opinion, Jesus only died once. To keep repenting is like, I'm not going to read that, but no, amen didn't come from Amun Ra. That's a myth. Pagans like trying to say that we stole everything from the pagans, when usually it's the other way around. Chapter 10. Now those that were... Wait. We have a list. It's going to be rough. There he art. We have a list. This is going to be rough. Chapter 10. Now those that sealed were Nehemiah, the Tirshatha, the son of Hakaliah, and Zidkijah, Seraiah, Azariah, Jeremiah. What's up, Shane? Pashur, Amariah, Malachijah, Hattush, Shebaniah, Maluk, Harim, Meremoth, Obadiah, Daniel, Gininoth, Baruch, Meshulam, Abijah, Mijamin, Maaziah, Maaziah, Bilgai, Shemaiah. These were the priests. And the Levites, both Jeshua the son of Azaniah, Benui the son of Henadad, Kadmiel, and their brethren, Shebaniah, Hodijah, Kelatah, Pelaiah, Hanan, Micah, Rehob, Hashabiah, Zakur, Sherebiah, Shebaniah, Hodijah, Bani, Beninu, the chief of the people, Parosh, Pahath Moab, Elam, Zathu, Bani, Buni, Asgad, Babai, Adonijah, Bigvai, Aden, Ader, Hizkijah, Azur, Hodijah, Hashum, Bazai, Harif, Anathoth, Nebai, Magpiash, Mishulam, Hezer, Meshezabiel, Zadok, Jadua, Pelatiah, Hanan, Ananiah, Hoshea, Hananiah, Hashub, Halohesh, Peliha, Shobek, Rehum, Hashabna, Maaseiah, and Ahijah. Hanan, why does it say and then it keeps going? And Ahijah, Hanan, Anan, Maluk, Harim, Baanah, and the rest of the people, the priests, the Levites, the porters, the singers, the Nethinims, and all they that had separated themselves from the law, or from the people of the lands unto the law of God, their wives, their sons, and their daughters, every one having knowledge and having understanding. They clave to their brethren, their nobles, and entered into a curse and into an oath to walk in God's law, which was given by Moses, the servant of God, and to observe and do all the commandments of the Lord our God, and his judgments and his statutes. And that we would not give our daughters unto the people of the land, nor take their daughters for our sons. And if the people of the land bring ware or any victuals on the Sabbath day to sell, that we would not buy it of them on the Sabbath or on the holy day, and that we would leave the 7th year and the execution or in the exaction of every debt. That's the year of Jubilee. Also, we made ordinances for us to charge ourselves yearly with the third part of a shekel for the service of the house of our God. There's a tithe. For the showbread and for the continual meat offering and for the continual burnt offering of the Sabbaths, of the new moons, for the set feasts and for the holy things and for the sin offerings, to make an atonement for Israel and for all the work of the house of our God. Pink hand wave, hola. And we cast the lots among the priests, the Levites, and the people for the wood offering to bring it into the house of our God, after the houses of our fathers, at times appointed year by year, to burn upon the altar of the Lord our God, as it is written in the law. and to bring the first fruits of our ground and the first fruits of all fruit of all trees year by year unto the house of the Lord. Also the firstborn of our sons and of our cattle, as it is written in the law, and the firstlings of our herds and of our flocks to bring to the house of our God, unto the priests that minister in the house of our God. Now Shiva has pointed out this verse before. Okay. Just because it says we bring our firstborn sons doesn't mean they're being brought for sacrifice. They could be brought for service to the temple. But just so that I'm not just going off of what I know here, we'll look into this. This is Nehemiah 10:36. And I'm gonna even search it in a biased way towards what Shiva's trying to argue. So he's trying to make the argument that the Bible condones human sacrifice. And so he would point to a verse like this. I don't know if he's used this verse before, but if he hasn't, then I'm giving him ammunition just so that I can catch the bullet and spit it out. We bite bullets and then we destroy them like Neo. We catch the bullets in midair and then we grab it and look at it and then they all drop. Nehemiah 10:36. So I'm going to search biased. I'm going to search Nehemiah 10:36 human sacrifice. And I'm going to try to find, I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of Reddit pages saying Nehemiah 10:36 supports human sacrifice. Reddit, biblical human sacrifice. In recent posts about slavery in the Bible, Leviticus 27, 28, and 29 came up, which says that slaves can be offered as sacrifices to Yahweh. Despite this, people argued that there could not be human sacrifice of this sort in the Torah. So here I am to debate the human sacrifice had not been totally abolished or seen as abhorrent. By the time of the writing of the Torah, it was still seen as mystical and not completely abhorrent by the rest of the Hebrew Bible, and Christianity is an extension of this. So I gave them other statutes that were not good laws through which they could not live. And here's one, Shiva has pointed to this one. Dude, why is my camera doing this glitching out thing? Why is it doing that? I defiled them through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn, that I might fill them with horror as they would know that I am the Lord. Let's address the human sacrifice issue first. So we have we have Jeremiah. I think Shiva's pointed this one out. 19:4-5. For they have forsaken me and made this place of foreign gods. They have burned incense in it to gods that neither they nor their ancestors nor the kings of Judah ever knew. And they have filled this place with the blood of the innocent. They have built pagan shrines to Baal, and there they burn their sons as sacrifices to Baal. I have never commanded such a horrible deed. It never even crossed my mind to command such a thing. Your clothing is stained with the blood of the innocent and the poor. Jeremiah 19:4-5. Jeremiah 19:4-5. Because they have forsaken me, thus saith the Lord. We skip down a little bit. Because they have forsaken me and have estranged this place, and have burned incense in it unto other gods, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, nor the kings of Judah, and have filled this place with the blood of the innocents. They have built also the high places of Baal, to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that this place shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. Okay. So there's a little debunk. Okay, so how do we justify this with verses like we see? So this one that we're looking at here in Nehemiah 10:36, I think, is pretty simple. Also, the firstborn of our sons and our cattle, and that we should bring the first fruits of our dough and our offerings and the fruit of all manner of trees and wine of oil unto the priests to the chambers of the house of our God, and the tithes of our ground unto the Levites, that the same Levites might have tithes in all the cities of our tillage. So, so I'm thinking either the firstborn children are being brought to serve in the temple to become priests, or, because if you keep reading, let me just finish this chapter and then we'll dig into this. Let me finish this chapter because there's only 3 more verses, and it says the firstborn children bring the sacrifices to the priests, and that we should bring the first fruits of our dough. I already read that. And the priest, the son of Aaron, shall be with the Levites when the Levites take tithes, and the Levites shall bring up the tithe of the tithes unto the house of our God, to the chambers upon the treasure house. For the children of Israel and the children of Levi shall bring the offering of the corn, of the new wine, and the oil unto the chambers, where are the vessels of sanctuary, and the priests that minister, and the porters and the singers, and we will not forsake the house of our God. So the firstborn children are simply delivering the offerings. The firstborn animals get sacrificed. The firstborn children bring them and present them. And often they become priests. The firstborn child could become a priest. So here we have a direct refutation of this idea. I'm going to write Shiva, child sacrifice. Nice. Refutation. What's up, Chuck? Chuck, was that you on Speakeasy stream last night? I'd never seen you before, but he sounded kind of like you. Okay. Now let's look at some other verses that condemn child sacrifice. 2 Kings 21:6. He sacrificed his own son in the fire, practiced divination, sought omens, and consulted mediums and spirits. He did much evil in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger. This is talking about Manasseh. Manasseh also shed so much innocent blood that he filled Jerusalem with it from one end to the other. This was in addition to his sin that he caused Judah to commit, so that they did what was evil in the Lord's sight. Again, it's saying that's an evil thing. Exodus 13:13, redeem every firstborn among your sons. 34:20, redeem all your firstborn sons. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. The verb pada is a legal term concerning the substitution required for the person or animal delivered. Pada is also used in relation to legislation with regard to the firstborn. Every firstborn male, whether human or animal, belonged to Yahweh, and hence was to be offered to Yahweh. The firstborn males of ritually clean animals were sacrificed, while firstborn unclean animals were redeemed. Human firstborn were also redeemed, either by substitution of an animal or by the payment of a fixed sum. This is what it means when, because Shiva will always pull this verse out where it talks about the redeeming of the firstborn. Unclean animals, if they're the firstborn and they're unclean, they're redeemed. They're not sacrificed, which means you pay for them, you tithe for them, or you put another animal in their place. Firstborn sons, like Isaac, don't get sacrificed. You redeem an animal in their place, but you take them there to be given to God. Your firstborn son is given to God. Sarah prays about this when she's praying for a son. She says, I want a son to redeem to you. And he says, since you're not being selfish and you don't just want a son to do yard work or I don't know, to show off to your friends, I guess, or to just feel like you have some sort of purpose, since since you want a son for me to give to me, I'll give you a firstborn son. And she offers her firstborn son to God. Well, Abraham offers the firstborn son to God, but Sarah prays and says, I want a firstborn son for you, God. He's going to serve you. And when Abraham takes him to sacrifice, God provides the redemption, which is the goat, in its place. They're not sacrificing firstborn children in the temples. They take the firstborn son to redeem them to God, to dedicate them to God. And then the child is, and you either pay a tithe or you have a backup animal that you sacrifice in its place. And this is symbolic because we see it with Jesus of God giving his firstborn son to be our sacrifice. But God doesn't want us to kill our sons. That's why we pay a redemption with a clean animal or with a tithe. That way we don't have to sacrifice our firstborn son, but God literally sacrificed his firstborn son. Here's some Bible commentary on Leviticus 27:29. Money was sometimes paid to deliver a person from death. The Levites are also said to be a ransom of the firstborn of Israel. Some of them go into service and become Levites. Dude, I don't know why my camera's doing this flashy thing. It's annoying me. I don't know what the deal is. Usually when I have this on, it doesn't do that. Let me try to turn this off and start it again. You guys see that? It's not my light. It's my... Good fun talks, but nothing I would pedestalize like Socrates or Plato. Socrates and Plato are whack. That's whack. The more I float around this debate space, the more I see participants are just average idiots that found their niche talking points, but in general, not good debaters. Oh, I thought that was you on the panel. Some guy sounded kind of like, see, it's doing the flashy thing again. What the heck is this? Why does it do this? Is it a loose connection, maybe? Might be a loose connection with my camera. Now Instalink's not opening. But I also don't pedestalize this. You shouldn't even make an idol out of the Bible. It's just my favorite book, collection of books. See, now Instalink's not even opening. In task, open it again. Now let's see if it stops doing that flashy thing. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me finish reading this. Therefore, the application of the word sharem to man is made exclusively in reference to one rightly doomed to death, and in that sense alone given up to Yahweh, the man who, in a right spirit, either carries out a sentence of just doom to an offender, or who, with a single eye to duty, slays an enemy in battle, must regard himself as God's servant, rendering up a life to the claim of the divine justice. It was in this way that Israel was required to destroy the Canaanites at Hormah, Numbers 21, 2-3, Deuteronomy 13, 12, and 18, and that Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord. In all such instances, a moral obligation rests upon him whose office it is to take the life. He has to look upon the object of his strokes as under a ban of the Lord. And this is from Deuteronomy 24 and Galatians 3:13. Therefore, there can be neither redemption nor commutation. This is for murderers or enemies in battle and things like that. Some Bible commentary on 2 Kings verse. As the present writer understands the words of the text, they rather indicate that the object of the dreadful expiation was attained and that the wrath of Chemosh fell upon the Hebrew alliance. 2 Chronicles 34, you need to read from the start of the chapter. It says that King Josiah seeked the God of David and began to purge. This means clean up. It clearly states that he took the bones of the priests of the Baals and burned them on their altars. Everybody keeps going to Jeremiah 19. Let's address the human sacrifice issue first. Okay, this was all just addressed. I agree some Bible authors took issue with sacrifice, but this passage is one that I mentioned that's ambiguous. It's only really specific about building shrines to other deities and sacrificing there made this a place of foreign gods. Yeah, they weren't they were sacrificing to false gods. They were sacrificing humans to false gods. And I know all the Christians get upset when I say this, but I see no other way that it's logical. God told them they would do this. He knew it was going to happen, and then it happened. And so when it happens, how can you say that's not part of God's plan? It is part of God's plan. Doesn't mean that it's good or that it's right. It just means that God made some people to do evil. And you can look at Romans 9 for that. The pot designed for the pot designed for righteousness will do righteousness. The pot designed for destruction will reap destruction. God is the clay maker that forms the clay, and some clay is formed for destruction. Why? I don't know. Ask God when you meet him one day. To me, it's not a problem. I don't think, oh man, this mean old God, he made bad people. No, it's necessary. As C.S. Lewis wrote, without a curved line, we would not know what a straight line is. And I think that's a simple enough explanation. God made evil people so we would know what evil is. Exodus 13:13, redeem every firstborn among your sons. Redeem all your firstborn sons. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. So we already talked about the redemption. You could do that by paying a tithe or with an animal. And you see this with Abraham and Isaac. I only really used to the verb this linguist contracts to Leviticus 27. But are you saying every mention of humans and cherem is legal and not sacrifice, even when they're listed in the same sentence as grain in the context of sacrifice and payments? Why is blood needed to redeem them? It is evident that the righteousness of this law is not involved in the sin of rash or foolish vows, such as Saul's 1 Samuel 14:24 or Jephthah's Judges 11:30. All parties in Judges 11, Jephthah, his daughter, the other women, presumably the rest of the community, accepted the vow if necessary to fulfill. God upheld his end of the deal, and I'm Hebrews listed as a hero of faith. And by the way, I'm just reading from Reddit, so I don't know if any of these people are valid sources. I'm just trying to get an idea of what people are trying to argue here. In Genesis 22, 1 through 19, there is a famous story of Abraham and his firstborn son Isaac. Yahweh calls Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, and nothing indicates that Abraham thinks he is out of character for Yahweh. Well, no, that's wrong. Because he tells the other son that he leaves by the tree, will be right back. And then he says God will provide. So it's not that it's out of character of God to request something like this, because Abraham knows Wait, Abraham is post Exodus. Genesis 22. No. Abraham's pre-Exodus. Yeah. Yeah. Because Joseph goes to Egypt. Yeah, maybe he doesn't see it as out of character for Yahweh, but it doesn't matter. He just does what God says. But he says God will provide, and he tells the other son he'll be right back. So Abraham has so much faith in God, he knows he's not going to have to sacrifice his son. And he doesn't. I've read some scholars that actually think Abraham originally did sacrifice Isaac. Isaac didn't come down from the mountain. His story is basically repeated from what Abraham did later on. A possible indication that he was written back in at a later time to reconcile the sacrifice. I call BS on that. You were a little off with the Abraham and Isaac story. Lambs were the normal sacrifice. Isaac even asked his father on the way to the hill where the lamb is. Abraham didn't think God's command was unacceptable because he had strong faith and strong relationship with God. Yeah. Isaac asks Abraham, where's the lamb? And Abraham says, God will provide. Okay, I'm not going to keep reading this because, see, we get a lot of this nonsense by anonymous user who's just making stuff up. C.S. Lewis was a great author, yes. I'm speaking to the other debate panels that let anyone with a mic hop on. Yeah. People like Marilyn. Yeah. Yeah, but there's always diamonds in the rough. You'll find some smart people on there on all the different panels. So, hold on. I want to look. Now, that's Reddit. Now I want to look at so we got some of the atheist talking points. Then we got that person was very knowledgeable. He went to the Hebrew, the one long one that I read, and he went through each verse and he explained it, and it makes sense. Now I just want to read a basic Christian website and see what they say. Some basic Bible Hub or gotquestions.org or let's see what Bible hermeneutics says. The firstborn had been dedicated to the Lord, and we're looking at Nehemiah 10:36. Why does Nehemiah require that the firstborn of the Israelites be redeemed? The firstborn had been dedicated to the Lord after he redeemed them from Egypt. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, sanctify me every firstborn, the first offspring of every womb among the sons of Israel, both man and beast, it belongs to me. But later the firstborn were exchanged for the Levites. In Numbers 31 through 45, you shall take the Levites for me, I am the Lord, instead of the firstborn among the sons of Israel, and the cattle of the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the cattle of the sons of Israel. Take the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the sons of Israel, and the cattle shall be mine. So why does Nehemiah require that the firstborns be brought before the Lord? The practice of setting apart the firstborn and paying redemption money was to be a lasting ordinance in Israel. The first instruction about this and its reason is found in Exodus 13, 1, 2, 14, 16. Consecrate me to every firstborn male. So when the Passover happens, it's not just the firstborn of Egypt. God says all the firstborn are mine. Now he kills the firstborn of Egypt because they can't be redeemed. They're unredeemable. But when Moses, after the Exodus, when they get to Israel, he says you can redeem the firstborn with a calf or with a payment, a tithe, or with a Levite, meaning they become a priest. You dedicate them, and that I forget the verses where it talks about that, but they become priests. A lot of the firstborns become priests. Um they wouldn't be Levite priests. They wouldn't be sons of Aaron, but they would be workers in the temple. They'd work in the outer part of the temple. They wouldn't be allowed into the Holy of Holies or the inner sanctum or anything like that. But they could work, at the temple. So there's 3 ways you could redeem them without killing them. But the instruction is repeated in other places. Exodus 22. Shall not delay the offer of your harvest and vineyard. Your firstborn of your sons you shall give to me. Later, a change was implemented. God dedicated the Levites as priests for the nation in place of all the firstborn of Israel. Now, behold, I have taken the Levites from among you, the sons of Israel, instead of every firstborn. The first issue of the womb among the sons of Israel, so the Levites shall be mine. For all the firstborn are mine. On the day that I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified it to myself, all the firstborn in Israel. From man to beast, they shall be mine. I am the Lord. However, the firstborn must be redeemed with money under this arrangement. The Exodus 34, 19, and 20, the first offspring from every womb belongs to me, and all your male livestock, the first offspring from cattle and sheep, you shall redeem with a lamb, the first offspring from a donkey, and if you do not redeem it, then you shall break its neck. You shall redeem all the firstborn of your sons. None shall appear before me empty-handed. This was the lasting ordinance in Israel. Numbers 25, 12, 13, Psalms 106, 30, Jeremiah 33, 18, 21, and 22 of salt. Numbers 18, 19. The reason for this change from the firstborn of every household to the tribe of Levite was their loyalty during the apostasy of the golden calf as recorded in Exodus. This is stated explicitly in verse 28 and 29 and subsequently in Leviticus 1 through 9, 16, 21 through 27, Numbers 3, 4, 8, 18, 25, 10 through 13, Deuteronomy 33, 8 through 11, Nehemiah 13, 29, and Malachi 2, 4 through 8. So the redemption, the redeeming of the firstborn isn't a human sacrifice. The Levites were taken as priests instead, and there's a tithe or an animal offering given in their place, just like Abraham and Isaac. There you go. Tell Shiva to come and watch this, because I'm not going to be able to remember all that. All right. Chapter 11. And the rulers of the people dwelt at Jerusalem. The rest of the people also cast lots to bring 1 of 10 to dwell in Jerusalem, the holy city, and 9 parts to dwell in other cities. Hold on one second. Okay. And the people blessed all the men that willingly offered themselves to dwell at Jerusalem. Now these are the chief of the province that dwelt in Jerusalem, but in the cities of Judah dwelt everyone in his possession in their cities, to wit, Israel, the priests, and the Levites, and the Nethinims, and the children of Solomon's servants. And at Jerusalem dwelt certain of the children of Judah, and of the children of Benjamin. Of the children of Judah, Athaiah, the son of Uzziah, the son of Zechariah, the son of Amariah, the son of Shephatiah, the son of Mahalaleel, of the children of Perez, and Maaseiah, the son of Baruch, the son of Kolhozen, the son of Hazaiah, the son of Adaiah, the son of Joiarib, the son of Zechariah, the son of Shiloni. All the sons of Perez that dwelt in Jerusalem were 468 valiant men. We got a lot of listing going. How long is this? Oh, man. Oh, man. We got like 2 chapters of this. All right, it's time to speed read. We got our interesting part for the day. Now we have to speed read. And these are the sons of Benjamin: Shalu, the son of Meshulam, the son of Joed, the son of Pedaiah, the son of Kolaiah, the son of Maaseiah, the son of Ithiel, the son of Jesiah, and after him Gabai, Salai, 920 and 8. And Joel, the son of Zikri, was their overseer, and Judah, the son of Senua, was second over the city. Of the priests, Jedaiah, the son of Jolarib, Jachin, Seraiah, the son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshulam, the son of Zadok, the son of Marioth, the son of Ahitub, was the ruler of the house of God. And their brethren that did the work of the house were 820 and 2. And Adaiah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Pelaliah, the son of Amzi, the son of Zechariah, the son of Pashur, the son of Malchiah, and his brethren, chief of the fathers, 240 and 2. And Amashiah, the son of Azriel, the son of Ahasai, the son of Meshillemoth, the son of Immer, and their brethren, mighty men of valor, 120 and 8, and their overseer was Zabdiel, the son of one of the great men. Also of the Levites, Shemaiah, the son of Hashub, the son of Azrikam, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Buni, and Shabbatai and Jozabad, the chief of the Levites, had the oversight of the outward business of the house of God. And Mattaniah, the son of Micah, the son of Zabdi, the son of Asaph, was the principal to begin the thanksgiving and prayer. And Bakukiah, the second among his brethren, and Abda, the son of Shammua, the son of Galai, the son of Jeduthun. All the Levites in the holy city were 284. Moreover, the porters, Akub, Talmon, and their brethren that kept the gates were 170 and 2. And the residue of Israel, of the priests and the Levites, were in all the cities of Judah, every one in his inheritance. But the Nethinims dwelt in Ophel, and Zihah and Gispah were over the Nethinims. The overseer also of the Levites at Jerusalem was Uzi, the son of Bani, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micah. Of the sons of Asaph, the singers were over the business of the house of God. For it was the king's commandment concerning them that a certain portion should be for the singers, due for every day. And Pethahiah, the son of Meshezabiel, of the children of Zerah, the son of Judah, was at the king's hand in all matters concerning the people. And for the villages with their fields, some of the children of Judah dwelt at Kirjath Arba, in the villages thereof at Dibon, and in the villages thereof at Jekabziel, and in the villages thereof, and at Jeshua, and at Moladah, and at Beth Philet, and at Hazar Shual, and Beersheba, and in villages thereof, and at Ziklag, and at Mekonah, and in the villages thereof, and at Inrimam, at Zeriah, and at Jarmuth, Zanoah, Adulam, and in their villages, at Lachish, in the fields thereof, at Azekah, and the villages thereof, and they dwelt from Beersheba unto the valley of Hinnom. The children also of Benjamin from Geba dwelt at Michmash, and Ijah, and Bethel, and in their villages, and at Anathoth, Nob, Ananiah, Hazor, Ramah, Gittaim, Hadid, Zeboim, Nebalat, Lod, and Ono, the valley of craftsmen. And of the Levites were divisions in Judah and in Benjamin. 2 chapters left. Chapter 13, we're done with these lists, and there's actually Nehemiah is going to lay out some laws. The wall is going to be dedicated, and Nehemiah is going to have a little closing for us about more strange women. Sheba, watch this. It's Shiva. And you can't just type it in chat if he's not here. Okay, chapter 12. More listing. Now, these are the priests and the Levites that went up with Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, Seraiah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Maluk, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rehum, Meremoth, Edo, Ginnetho, Abijah, Mayamin, Maadiah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, and Joyarib, and Jediah, Shalul, Amok, Hilkiah, Jedediah. These were the chief of the priests and of their brethren in the days of Jeshua. Moreover, the Levites, Jeshua, Benui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, which was over the thanksgiving, he and his brethren. Also, Bakukiah and Uni, their brethren, were over against them in the watches. And Jeshua begat Joachim. Joachim also begat Eliashib, and Eliashib begat Joiada. And Joiada begat Jonathan, and Jonathan begat Jaddua. And in the days of Joachim were priests, the chief of the fathers of Seraiah, Meraiah, and of Jeremiah, Hananiah, of Ezra, Meshulam, of Amariah, Jehohanan, of Melichu, Jonathan, of Shebaniah, Joseph, of Harim, Adnah, of Marioth, Helkiah, of Edo, Zechariah, of Ginnathoth, Meshulam, of Abijah, Zikri, of Meniamin, of Maodiah, Piltiah, of Bilgah, Shamua, of Shemaiah, Jehonathan, and of Joyarib, Mattaniah, of Jediah, Uzi, of Salai, Kalai, Amok, Eber, of Hilkiah, Hashabiah, of Jedediah, Nathaniel, the Levites in the days of Eliashib, Joiada, Johonathan, and Jaddua were recorded chief of the fathers, also the priest to reign of Darius the Persian. The sons of Levi, the chief of the fathers, were written in the book of the Chronicles, even until the days of Johanan, the son of Eliashib. And the chief of the Levites, Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Jeshua, the son of Kadmiel, and their brethren, over against them to praise and to give thanks, according to the commandment of David, the man of God, ward over against ward. Mattaniah, Bakukiah, Obadiah, Meshulam, Talmon, Akub were porters, keeping the word at the thresholds of the gates. These were in the days of Joachim, the son of Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and in the days of Nehemiah, the governor, and of Ezra, the priest, the scribe. And at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sought the Levites out of all their places to bring them to Jerusalem, to keep the dedication with gladness, both with thanksgivings and with singing, with cymbals, psalteries, and with harps. And the sons of the singers gathered themselves together, both out of the plain country round about Jerusalem, and from the village of Netophathi, also from the house of Gilgal, and out of the fields of Geba and Azaveth, for the singers had bullied them villages round about Jerusalem. And the priests and the Levites purified themselves and purified the people and the gates and the wall. Then I brought up the princes of Judah upon the wall, and appointed 2 great companies of them that gave thanks, whereof one went on the right hand upon the wall toward the dung gate, and after them went Hoshaiah and half the priests of Judah. And Azariah, Ezra, Meshulam, Judah, and Benjamin, and Shemaiah, and Jeremiah, and certain of the priest's sons with trumpets, namely Zechariah, the son of Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micaiah, the son of Micaiah, the son of Zakur, the son of Asaph, and his brethren, Shemaiah, Azariel, Milalai, Gilalai, Maai, Nathaniel, and Judah, Hanani, with the musical instruments of David, the man of God, and Ezra, the scribe, before them. And at the fountain gate, which was over against them, they went up by the stairs of the city of David, at the going up of the wall, above the house of David, even unto the water gate eastward. And the other company, holy moly, this keeps going. This is all one chapter. This is a long chapter. I need a break. Of them that gave thanks went over against them, and I after them, and half of the people upon the wall from beyond the tower of the furnaces, even unto the broad wall, and from above the gate of Ephraim, and above the old gate, and above the fish gate, and the tower of Hananiel, the tower of Meah, even unto the sheep gate, and they stood still in the prison gate. So stood the two companies of them that gave thanks in the house of God, and I, and half of the rulers with me, and the priests Eliakim, Maaseiah, Meniamin, Micaiah, Elioenaiah, Zechariah, and Hananiah with trumpets, and Maaseiah, and Shemaiah, and Eleazar, and Uzi, and Jehohanan, and Malchijah, and Elam, and Ezer, and the singers sang loud with Jezrahiah, their overseer. Also that day they offered great sacrifices and rejoiced, for God had made them rejoice with great joy. The wives also and the children rejoiced, so that the joy of Jerusalem was heard even afar off. And at that time were some appointed over the chambers for the treasures, for the offerings, for the fruits, first fruits, and for the tithes, to gather into them out of the fields of the cities the portions of the law for the priests and Levites. For Judah rejoiced, for the priests and for the Levites that waited. And both the singers and the porters kept the word of their God, ward, W-A-R-D, of their God, and the word of purification, according to the commandment of David and of Solomon his son. For in the days of David and Asaph of old, there were chief of the singers, and songs of praise and thanksgiving unto God. And all Israel in the days of Zerubbabel and in the days of Nehemiah gave the portions of the singers and the porters every day his portion, and they sanctified holy things unto the Levites, and the Levites sanctified them unto the children of Aaron. Woo! That was a long chapter. That was a rough one. Okay, I think we actually have some narrative now. The wall is going to be dedicated, and Nehemiah is going to lay out some reforms. And specifically, we're going to talk about the strange wives again. Ezra and Nehemiah, kind of sequels to one another, kind of go together. So they both talk about the same things here. It's 11:43. Let's wrap this up. All right, chapter 13. On that day, they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of God forever. The Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of God ever, because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them. Howbeit our God turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass, when they had heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. And before this, Eliashib the priest, having the oversight of the chamber of the house of our God, was allied unto Tobiah. And he had prepared for him a great chamber, where aforetime they laid the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels, and the tithes of the corn, the new wine, and the oil, which was commanded to be given to the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, and the offerings of the priests. But in all this time was not I at Jerusalem. For in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, came I unto the king, and after certain days obtained I leave of the king. And I came to Jerusalem, and I believe this is Nehemiah talking now. So he's saying, I wasn't there for all of this. I got here late. So he's telling what happened while he was gone, and now he arrives on the scene. And I came to Jerusalem and understood of the evil that Eliashib did for Tobiah in the preparing him a chamber in the courts of the house of God. And it grieved me sore. Therefore I cast forth all the household stuff of Tobiah out of the chamber. So Tobiah was a real jerk. Then I commanded, and they cleansed the chambers, and thither brought I again the vessels of the house of God with the meat offering and the frankincense. And I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them, for the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled, every one to his field. So the Levites weren't getting paid their tithe by Tobiah, who defaced the temple. So Nehemiah shows up. He's cleaning house. And he noticed the Levites all left because they're not getting paid. Then contended I with the rulers and said, why is the house of God forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in their place. Then brought all Judah the tithe of the corn and the new wine and the oil unto the treasuries. And I made treasurers over the treasuries, Shelemiah the priest and Zadok the scribe, and of the Levites, Pedaiah, and next to them was Hanan the son of Zakur, the son of Mattaniah, for they were counted faithful, and their office was to distribute unto their brethren. So we have economics in the temple. We have treasuries and treasurers and people designated to allocate funds to the Levites, to the singers, to the porters, who work at the temple. The tithes, some of the tithes are used as sacrifice to God. Some of the tithes are used to pay the people who keep the temple. And they weren't paying them. So now they're setting up a treasury system and making sure they get paid. Remember me, O my God, concerning this, and wipe not out my good deeds that I have done for the house of my God and for the offices thereof. In those days saw I Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves and laden asses, as also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals. Selling victuals. This is why he testified against them in the days they sold victuals. Mosman says, let me see something. Victuals is like selling forgiveness, kind of. Oh, selling food and provisions. Victuals is somewhat archaic, but still understood term for food and supplies. Oh, okay. So they were selling the tithe instead of giving it to the people who it was owed to. What did Mosman say that part of the reason for the reform was because, or for the schism or the reform or something, was because the Catholics were selling victuals? But I thought he said victuals was like blessings. Indulgences is what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking of something different. I was thinking of indulgences, not victuals. So never mind. Okay. There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which brought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. This is kind of like when Jesus flipped the tables because the money changers were in the temple. It's kind of a similar parallel situation here. They're selling food and stuff out of the temple that's supposed to be used to pay the Levites and the porters and the singers, but instead they're selling it. And Nehemiah is going in here and flipping some tables. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day. So the merchants and sellers of all kinds of ware lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. Then I testified against them and said unto them, why lodge ye about the wall? If ye do so again, I will lay my hands on you. From the time forth came they no more on the Sabbath. Why are you camping outside our walls? So he closed up the city on the Sabbath day so that no merchants could come in and be selling victuals. And they camped outside the city. And he said, "Why are you camping outside the city? Keep trying it. I'm going to lay hands on you. We're about to go hands on." Nehemiah about to go hands on. "And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves and that they should come and keep the gates to sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my God, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of thy mercy." Now there's one of those symbols, which means we're starting anew. It's still the same chapter, but it's got the little symbol that means that we're starting a new thought or a new stanza, paragraph, whatever. "In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Asdod, and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people." Huh. Interesting. Where do we see stuff like this happening nowadays? "And I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair and made them swear by God, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves." Cut it out. "Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin." Nobody was loved as Solomon was one of the most loved men. But even Solomon was led to sin by strange women, by foreign exotic ladies. Wow. Look at that. I've said that a million times, and here we are reading it. I've already read this before, but that's strong. "Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin." Look at that. "Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God in marrying strange wives? Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God in marrying strange wives?" "And one of the sons of Joiada, the son of Eliashib, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat, the Horonite. Therefore I chased him from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. Thus cleansed I them from all strangers, and appointed the wards of the priests and the Levites, every one in his business, and for the wood offering at times appointed, and for the first fruits. Remember me, O God, for good." Based. Look at that. Don't sleep with these strange women, these exotic ladies. And it's not about race, it's about ideologies. Don't be dilly-dallying with the witches now. This even Samson, even Solomon fell to these outlandish women. There's a little foreboding for you. All right, that's all I got on that. That's the end of Nehemiah. So now, after we had 2 books telling us to be careful of strange demonic women, now we're going to get a book for the ladies. See, it's not all misogynistic. Next is Esther. We got one for the ladies. It's the ladies' book. It's the book for the ladies. It's a short one. Holy cow. Holy cow. That's blasphemy. It's only 7 chapters. I think we can knock Esther out in one day. No, it's 8 chapters. They're short chapters. It's 10 chapters, but your chapter 10 is like, Is that the shortest chapter in the Bible? Chapter 10 is only 3 verses. We could maybe knock Esther out in one day if I do a long day. But I'm not going to do a long day today because I need to get some sleep. But Nehemiah's done. We heard about all the strange ladies, and now we're going to move on to a book for the ladies. A book for the ladies. Esther. She was basically king. She was queen, but she was basically king. She had all the powers of the king. And she did some base stuff. So, you know, there's even a couple base ladies in the Bible. Ruth, Sarah, kinda. You know, she kind of messed up when she told Abraham to sleep with her slave. That was probably a mistake. Poor Ishmael. But Esther and Ruth marry. Both Mary's Jesus's Mary, mother of Jesus, the Theotokos, and Mary Magdalene. Who else? Rahab. Rahab was based. Who else? Lot's wife, not so much. She's a pillar of salt now. Does that mean that at some point somebody might have preserved their meat with Lot's wife? Because after like some erosion, you wouldn't have been able to tell it was a woman, and somebody just finds this pillar of salt in the desert, and they're like, "That's salt. That's valuable stuff." Somebody probably harvested Lot's wife, ate her on a piece of steak. What the? Who else? Eve, not so based. Not so based, Eve. Sarah gets like a 6 out of 10 on the base scale. Ruth gets like a if Mary the mother of Jesus gets a 10 on the base scale. Mary Magdalene gets an 8. Ruth gets a 9. Esther, we're going to find out. We'll have to base rate Esther as far as ladies go. Eve gets like a 3. Sarah gets a 6. The rest are a mess. All of Solomon's wives get like a -10. Bathsheba gets like a 2. Delilah gets like a -5. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. Oh, Rahab. I already said Rahab. Rahab gets like a 7. Nah. Can I put Rahab higher than Sarah? Nah. Well, we don't know anything bad that Rahab did. We only know of a base thing that she did. We know something bad that Sarah did. Or Leah. Leah was pretty cool. Her dad was a real jerk. She was all right. She never did nothing wrong that I know of, that I can remember. Who else? Moses' wife doesn't really talk about her much. She was a foreigner. I can't think of any more. The woman at the well, but it's arguable that that's even actually canonical. Gomer. Gomer was like a 4. She wasn't very based at all, but Hosea was based. A lot of guys would disagree, but because he married a prostitute. But God told him to marry her. God told him to stay with her. So he did what God said. But Gomer was not so based. She's like a 4 or a 3. Who else? Any other ladies of the Bible? Seesaw would know. The ladies of the Bible. Trying to run through it in my head. Job, his wife. I mean, I don't know how base she was, but she didn't really last that long in the story. Wasn't she yelling at him to curse God when bad stuff was happening? Song of Solomon, the black and comely woman, not so based. Solomon's sister, not so based. In actual life, every Sarah I met was a, oh my goodness. Lord, Dean. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. I think Elizabeth. Who's Elizabeth? Who's Elizabeth in the Bible? Elizabeth. Bible. Righteous mother of John the Baptist. Okay. It's been a while since I've deep dived into the New Testament. Oh, there's 2 Elizabeths. Zechariah was also married to an Elizabeth. But John the Baptist became pregnant in her old age after being barren for years. That's a common theme in the Bible. Cousin of Mary. Okay. Righteous in God's eyes. She was righteous, walking blamelessly in God's commandments. Okay. So Elizabeth probably like. Now, righteous in God's eyes doesn't mean, because David doesn't mean that they never did anything wrong. Well, what does that really mean? Oh, I don't know. She probably she gave birth to John the Baptist. If Mary is the only 10, Jesus's mother, if she's the only one we're giving a 10 on based scale, Elizabeth gets a 9. And then Ruth has to have an 8. Because I don't know if Ruth can be at the same level as. But actually, Ruth is technically the great, 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 great grandma of Jesus. Because Ruth and Boaz give birth to David's dad or David's grandpa, one or the other. So they are the grandparents of David, great grandparents of Solomon, and technically great 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 grandparents of Jesus. So I don't know. I'll give Ruth a 8. I'll give Elizabeth a 9. I'll give Mary, the Theotokos, a 10 on the scale of how awesome they were, how based they were. Yeah, nobody cared, Dean. It's irrelevant. It's derailing. Okay. I'm gonna go, guys. I'm not gonna send you guys to like some big stream. We only got 5 people here. Find somebody small. Angry Conservatives live. Angry Conservative. Anchor Baby. We'll go to Angry Conservative. He's got 3 different streams running. I don't know why he does this. Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt. Better meals, fewer pills. We'll go to the Carolyn Levitt one. All right. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. We're done with Nehemiah. Tomorrow is for the ladies. We're moving on to Esther, the story of Esther. And hopefully we're done with all these lists for a while. And Esther is more of a, there's more story in it. So that should be nice. But God bless everybody. Have a good night or good day. It's night to me. I'm going to bed. But have a good one. Peace.